So imagine your company merges with another company, or your CIO approaches you and tells you to reduce your applications. So what do you do? Typically, this is where application portfolio management comes into play and helps you analyze your application landscape in its current state. And by the way, application portfolio management is the major use case that all customers from LeanIX start with in the beginning. So application portfolio management is all about knowing where to invest in your application landscape. So it's taking a decision in the applications, where do you invest, where do you eliminate applications, where do you tolerate applications, or where do you migrate applications. It's contributing to the bottom line, which your CIO will mostly like, and it's coming up with a future plan how you want to evolve your application landscape. In today's world, it's even more important than it was before. It's so easy to just buy any SaaS application with your credit card or spin up your server with one of the hyperscalers, just also using your credit card. What companies need today is a smart governance in that process. Also, they want to free up resources for innovation and need to regularly revisit their application portfolio in terms of seeing, are there any applications that are not used anymore, or is there any legacy that needs to be migrated or mitigated. It's very easy to start with application portfolio management. There are reference models like Gartner's time model, where you can easily evaluate your application landscape according to certain criteria and exactly get recommendations how to deal with every single application. But this is just the start. The major challenges for application portfolio management are to take your decisions based on real-time data. This is very important to have accurate data quality and to make sure that any recommendation that you give or any decision that you take is based on the right data. The second challenge is more of a political or cultural component. So the person who has introduced or developed a certain application about 5 years ago might have an interest to keep this application. So it's very important in that process to deal with that and make sure that the data quality as well as the cultural aspects of application portfolio management are addressed. So first, on data quality, we see two major levers to overcome this. The first one is integration. So integration means integrating your EA tool with tools in the ecosystem. For example, importing processes from the business process management tool, for example, Signavio. So always making sure that you avoid any redundancy or double data maintenance, because this will lead to reduced data quality. The second one is collaboration. At LeanIX, we believe that EA should be a collaborative discipline. That's why we also don't have a user-based pricing, and everybody can contribute to the content in LeanIX and can consume the content. This creates a much higher acceptance and therefore also a better data quality. To the second point, the culture and political points. When you think about this person who has developed the application 5 years ago and is now informed after the fact, it would have been much better having a tool like LeanIX to involve this person in the process and not inform after the fact, after the decision has been made, but really involve in the decision-making process and in the implementation process. APM is the very first use case that our customers start with LeanIX. You basically start with your application lists and you start with a business capability map, and then go on and relate them to each other. So answering the question, which application supports which business capability. Once you've done that and you have your initial application landscape, you start collecting attributes. So, for example, how well does a certain application really support a certain business capability? Or what is the technical fit of a certain application? Once you have done that, you start assigning responsibilities to the applications. So say, what is the application owner of a certain application? What is the business owner? From there on, you can start your collaboration workflows and really make sure that EA becomes a collaborative discipline in the company. So what we see with customers is that they are always coming in with some experience. So don't be afraid of any complex meta models or long implementation projects that you've probably experienced in the past. Rely on best practices, go with an out-of-the-box meta model, and really aim for a business outcome-driven enterprise architecture management, so that you can be sure that what you do in LeanIX, in the tool, really adds value to the business.